I joined Addis Murur in the middle of this academic year. Due to my personal reasons, I had missed one whole term of my 11th grade. That's 6 whole months. I remember my first day on the school, the mountain of missed chapters, the anxiety of joining a new school, and the thoughts of so many unfamiliar faces was constantly running on my mind. To be completely honest, I was lost. In a desperate attempt to recalibrate my life, I wanted a place where I could peacefully sit and think. And the best place that came to my mind was the school library. And I went there. As I was silently wondering what I could do to structure the remaining 6 months of this year, my eyes caught on to one book. And to distract myself from the daunting thoughts of school, I decided to flip through it. At the time, I didn't realize that this 100 to 200 page book would have such a profound impact on how I view and structure my life. And that book was Atomic Habits by James Clear. A very good morning to one and all present here. I am Aditya Malya, and in my talk today, I would like to emphasize the critical importance of making habits in our lives. To begin with, what are habits? Many of us have this misconception that habits are some complicated task. In fact, it's the polar opposite. Habits are small, automatic actions that help mold our daily routines, our careers, and eventually our destinies. Our habits are the building blocks of our lives. Now, you might be wondering, if something is so small and involuntary, why is it so important? Well, habits provide us with stability and predictability. When we have established routines, we know what to expect. And this brings a sense of security to our lives. Think of it as having a ready-made game plan, but for your daily journey. Moreover, habits directly impact our productivity and success. Consider this. If you have the negative habit of procrastination, chances are it's going to hinder your progress and thereby limit your success. On the other hand, if you possess the positive habit of setting clear goals and being efficient in your work, chances are you are going to achieve success. Why is that? It's because the habits that we possess are a true correlation to the amount of success we achieve. Another point is that habits shape our identity and our character. Let's look at this. If we consistently practice kindness and empathy, in the long run, we become a kind and empathetic person. Similarly, if we at least try to read every day, in the long run, we become a lifelong reader. Why is that? It's because our habits are a true reflection of who we are, and they play a crucial role in defining our sense of being. Lastly, habits play a major role in achieving long-term goals. These goals can be anything, whether it's learning a new language, whether it's advancing in your career, or whether it's just working on being healthy. The habits that you cultivate every single day will help you get there. As philosopher Will Durant once wisely said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Now, I do understand, making good habits, breaking bad habits, easier said than done. In fact, it's extremely difficult. But with the right amount of discipline, it's very much possible. And today, I'm here to give you 2 techniques that I learned from the book that have helped me in my habit-building journey. I would love to start off with an example. Let's look at the journey of the British cycling team. From 1908, for another century, we see one of the roughest patches in the history of the team. They had won just a single world championship, 0 Olympic medals, and 0 Tour de France's. Their performance in almost every competition was so terrible that bike manufacturers would stop giving them their products because it was harming the company's reputation. These years of bad luck and bad reputation finally changed when in 2003, they hired Dave Brailsford as their performance director. Now, Dave here has had a unique approach. He believed in the aggregation of minimal change. What do I mean by this? Well, Dave took cycling as a sport and he broke it down into 100 small steps. And what did he do? He decided to implement a 1% better change in each sector. At first, critics blamed him that his techniques were useless and that they weren't going to work. But over time, they compounded to give significant results. The team won 178 World Championships, 66 Olympic medals, and 5 Tour de France's. Why is that? What sparked this change that changed the entire trajectory of the team? This shows us the power of incremental improvement. At times, we disregard consistent, insignificant change, thinking that they aren't going to help us, but they compound over time to produce significant results. To quote my personal experience, all throughout my life, I believed that growth would come from some major or grand event. Like on Tuesday, I'll start studying 4 hours a day. On Wednesday, I'll get up at 5 in the morning and go for a run. But 99% of the times, I failed to do so consistently. It was only until I realized that growth in my life would come when I make small yet doable changes. My second technique is known as the habit link. Habit link is the process of joining one habit to another. Let's look at an example. We read something or the other every single day, whether it's for leisure or for academics. Remind yourself that after my daily reading for today, I will meditate for 10 minutes. Do this for 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, until you have mastered it into your daily schedule. Now add on to it. After my daily reading, I meditate for 10 minutes, then I'll drink 2 glasses of hot water. Once we do this habit link for months and months on end, we start to build a long chain of long-lasting habits. I've always faced the problem of not having a structure in my life. I used to have the end goal in my mind, but never the system to reach it. It was only until I harnessed the power of habit link that I realized that I can reach my goals. In conclusion, all I would like to say is that habits remind us that the path to growth begins with everyday consistent change. And if we harness the power of habits in our lives, we can transform our lives in one way which we never thought was possible before. Thank you so much.